This is CNN Breaking News.
We start with a police officer ambushed. These are live pictures coming in right now from Philadelphia, where we're awaiting a live news conference from the city's police commissioner. Here's a picture taken as the ambush happened. You can see the shooter with his hands and his pistol all the way inside the squad car. He fired 13 shots. The officer fired back before calling for help. Here's some of that call.
Got 6 shots fired. Get that screen. I'm shot. I'm bleeding heavily. Apprehended. Give us enough units here. 603. Please send me some units to 60 at Urban. I think the military's got a weapon out here.
Sir, we have officers en route to you.
Our Jason Carroll is in New York. He's watching this story. What else do we know, first of all, about the shooter, Jason?
Well, first of all, that dispatch audio, Wolf, is just chilling. I think the police commissioner said it best when he said a little earlier. He said, I do not know how this officer survived. When you take a look at that picture there that you see that's up on your screen, that is the suspect there. That is the man who ambushed the officer. The officer identified as Jesse Hartnett. Apparently, this was at about 11:40 last night, Wolf. Officer Hartnett was out on patrol, and this man flagged him down.
Hold on, Jason. Hold on for 1 second, because we can see the police commissioner, Richard Ross, the police commissioner of Philadelphia, getting ready to make a statement, answer reporters' questions. He's going to brief us on what we know. Let's listen in.
I'm joined here, obviously, by multiple people. The mayor, you all know, Captain Clark, the SAC and the ASAC from the local FBI office, and some other folks here. As you know, last night, about 11:40, Officer Jesse Hartnett was on patrol in uniform in a marked vehicle when he was ambushed by a male. This male fired several shots at close range, striking Hartnett in the left arm 3 times. Despite being seriously injured, Hartnett exited his patrol car and chased the male. He returned fire and was able to strike the male, who was later apprehended by other officers. The bravery he demonstrated was absolutely remarkable. His will to live undoubtedly saved his life, and we're ever so thankful to God that he's here today, because this could have easily been a police funeral. Officer Hartnett is presently recovering. He has some very serious injuries that will require multiple surgeries. Our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family. The suspect in question is a 30-year-old male from Yaden. He has a Philadelphia address as well, I believe. Has confessed to committing this cowardly act in the name of Islam. According to him, he believed that the police defend laws that are contrary to the teachings of the Quran. Now, at this time, if we could post up the video, just want to show you something on this before the mayor takes the podium and outline what's going on here. So this first video, it's actually not even the video, it's a still shot. You can see the male in question going towards police officer Hartnett, already firing. Second shot, he is literally inside that car. He's got his arm extended, firing at Officer Hartnett. I'm absolutely amazed that Officer Hartnett is here with us today. This male fired at least 11 shots from a 9mm at close range. You can see he begins to run away, continues to fire, even as he flees away. This shot right here is absolutely one that demonstrates his valiance and his courage and bravery. He exits his police vehicle, starts chase despite being seriously injured, returns fire. He's able to strike the male at some point in time, and again, his fellow officers were able to apprehend the male. Unfortunately, I will have to tell you, in the interest of full disclosure, the weapon that this male used was a stolen police firearm. It was stolen back in October of 2013. It was reported, and that is one of the things that you absolutely regret the most when an officer's gun is stolen, that it is used against one of your own. Fortunately, again, Officer Hartnett is here with us today. We ask that everybody keep him in your prayers as his injuries are very, very serious. At this time, I'm going to turn the podium over to the mayor for his comments, and then subsequent to that, if you have any particular comments for Captain Clark from the Homicide Unit.
Good afternoon. Our main concern at the moment today is the well-being and the health and the recovery and rehabilitation of Officer Hartnett. Obviously, you can see the bravery that he displayed, and he and his family will get everything that he needs from our police department, from our city, in an effort to recover and to be whole again. I want to compliment Homicide Division, the police department, for their just tremendous work. Their ongoing, everyday tremendous work, but especially in this particular case, going to bring this case to fruition. I think it's very important that we understand how hard they work in the circumstances they work under, and also how our officers every single day are willing to do what Officer Hartnett has done, to put themselves between us and the bad guys. So that's the first part. The second part is that in no way, shape, or form does anyone in this room believe that Islam or the teaching of Islam has anything to do with what you've seen on that screen. That is abhorrent. It's terrible, and it does not represent the religion in any way, shape, or form, or any of its teachings. This is a criminal with a stolen gun who tried to kill one of our officers. Has nothing to do with being a Muslim or following the Islamic faith. So I want to turn it back over to Commissioner for any questions you may have.
So I imagine you have a lot of questions. What I cannot answer, the captain will answer, or perhaps someone behind me. So we'll open it up to questions now.
Commissioner, what specifically did this man, Mr. Archer, say to the officer, about what he had done and why he had done it?
Captain?
Okay, when we had the suspect upstairs, the homicide unit talked to him. Right away, he didn't have anything to say, but then he stated that he pledges his allegiance to Islamic State. He follows Allah, and that is the reason he was called upon to do this.
Specifically, he did this for what reason? What was his...
That he just kept on echoing those sentiments, and he wouldn't give us anything more than that.
Captain, the FBI is at his living quarters out there at this hour. There's word circulating that he traveled to Cairo several years ago, and what about possible terrorist materials at his home?
Right. I mean, I can't comment on that. The only thing I can tell you is that the FBI, in conjunction with homicide detectives and our Homeland Security, they're executing search warrants in his property in Upper Darby, and also one in Southwest Philadelphia, not too far from where the shooting took place at. We'll go in and we'll see what we find. But right now, we don't have anything as of yet.
Why have they been called out so quickly?
Why is...
The FBI, Homeland Security, why are they there?
Well, I mean, the totality of this circumstance. I mean, you had an attempted assassination on a police officer. You have this individual saying he did it because of his religious beliefs, and because of that and what's going on, around the country. Everybody came forward very, very quickly to find out the answers behind a lot of the questions that I'm sure you guys have.
Vernon, let me just comment on one thing. So I need to make something clear that in any incident like this, the FBI works very closely with us anyway. I mean, I got a call this morning before we knew this information from the SAC, just offering his assistance as they always do. So I just want to be clear about that, okay?
Do you if there's anything from out of town about this guy?
Again, as the captain indicated, one of the things that we hope to glean from the search warrants as well as the investigation with all the federal partners and our partnerships that we have is to determine whether any of those things actually exist. And we'll try to find out. We honestly do not know at this point. We're being as forthright as we can be about what we know, and so we know, you know exactly what we know at this point.
It's stunning that this guy survived this, that Officer Hartnett survived this. Was he only hit in the arm? Was he hit in his body armor as well? How many other strikes did he take, or was this guy just off? And if this is the correct individual that we're tracking, it appears he has a very extensive history, including a history of making terroristic threats. Is that part of is this the same, I guess, Edward that was born in February 1985?
Okay, so to your first question, 3 gunshot wounds to the left arm is all we have. absolutely amazing that that's all he sustained. I cannot explain how he escaped that, nothing short of miraculous, and we're thankful for that. As far as your second question, a lot of that will be determined from this investigation. We simply do not know a lot of this. They just got this statement this morning, and so it stands to reason that there's more unknown than known. And as we get it, we will make every attempt to let people know what's going on.
But you're saying he's 30 years old or 33 years old?
The police officer is 33 years old, I believe. Right.
He did have a fairly extensive criminal record. Is that?
He's got a criminal record. I mean, the extensive part is relative, I mean, to what we see from day to day.
I thought I had heard from our folks in checking records that he was actually set to be sentenced on a case out of Media Borough Monday of next week. Do you know anything about that?
I do not at this time. We will find out all that.
Mr. Ross, do you have any idea how exactly he obtained this gun?
He obtained it? No, we do not know. We know it was stolen. How many hands it may have passed through in the last couple of years, I have no way of knowing. And he did not talk about that.
Was it reported stolen?
It absolutely was.
Can you talk about the circumstances surrounding the theft?
All I can say is it was a theft, police officer's gun. It was reported as was required, and sometimes things happen, and someone was disciplined for it. I will tell you honestly about that, as is our protocol. From the home, from his home.
Commissioner, what about protections for officers in situations like this? Was he wearing a bulletproof vest? The car, any element of protection for an assault like this?
Well, I think, one, he had the grace of God, that's first and foremost. But, because I can't explain it based on my beliefs in any other way. But he had a will to live, as I mentioned before, which is equally big. But he had on his vest. But under those circumstances, man, I can't imagine that almost anything that you could have could protect you. That is chilling, absolutely chilling when you watch that. And if that doesn't just make the hairs on your neck just raise when you see that, it's scary. That's all I can say.
Is there any indication that he had any links to anybody else planning a terrorism attack?
No, we don't have that indication right now. I think he was savvy enough to stop just short of implicating himself in a conspiracy with anything. Even if one exists, we don't know right now. The detectives in question did a remarkable job in even getting that from him. He doesn't appear to be a stupid individual, just an extremely violent one, obviously, by his actions. And we're going to have to wait to see where the investigation takes us.
Do we know anything about his mental history?
No, we don't. Obviously, that was one of the first thoughts that we have. It's only natural to go there when you see someone do something so barbaric that, you know, what's wrong with them. And I never want to lay the foundation for excuses later in court, but you do have thoughts like that, but we have not determined it.
Commissioner, just so we're very clear about this, because this is what, of course, everybody's talking about. You have no indication at this point that he's part of a larger organization, no real knowledge of whether he was radicalized as a separate individual, but he has specifically simply made the claim that he is doing this on behalf of Islam and the Islamic State. And beyond that, you don't know whether there's a connection of him being individually radicalized or just a guy who in his own mind said, I'm going to do this on behalf of this cause.
We do not. And I think that was part of his savviness, if you will, in stopping just short of implicating anyone else. And I say that, and I caution you to say that I don't know that there is or isn't, but he seemed to know how to navigate around just enough. And so I don't know whether that means it's because he knows not to do that or because he was just lucky. I really don't know.
Mr. Ross, does it appear to be meditated?
Well, it looked like it to me. I mean, in the manner that he did it, and it seemed he certainly was targeting police. It wasn't just targeting a motorist driving down the street. He knew who he was shooting at, and my God, I mean, the way he's got his arm inside that vehicle, I mean, he knew what he was doing. He was trying to assassinate this police officer.
And what is the condition of the suspect right now?
Well, he's actually been released, so, I mean, obviously he had him in our custody, so I guess he's okay for now.
The audio for the dispatcher is terrifying listening to the officer. How was that? Was he holding a button down while he was chasing this guy down? Did he roll down the window? Did he suspect anything was going to happen before the men started shooting? And then what was his condition? By the end of that audio, he sounds weak and in trouble. What is his condition?
Okay, unfortunately, I'm probably going to only be able to answer your last question. All the rest would be mere speculation on my part. I don't know exactly how he was keying his mic or anything like that. You can clearly see his left arm is immobilized. And at some point, he's courageously firing back. So I don't know how he did it. I don't know how he escaped it, period. With regard to his condition at the time, he had to be very weak because he lost a significant amount of blood at that scene. And we all know what happens when that occurs. So again, the whole culmination of things and everything involved in this is just, it's both confounding and astonishing that he was able to escape it like this. And I can't say enough for his bravery and how he conducted himself. I mean, I really, really can't. And he really just demonstrated, I mean, a paragon of excellence when it comes to what it means to be both a police officer in terms of being a warrior and everything else when he had to be. And he's got 5 years on the force. He actually was a lateral from another department, and I just had a discussion with a vice president of the FOP, and everyone says that in addition to the acts of bravery that are demonstrated here, that he was a compassionate police officer, in that even an individual he arrested not long ago for narcotics, he stopped and got food for that individual's son, the very person he arrested.
Could you clarify, did he do this in the name of Islam, or did he pledge allegiance to the Islamic State?
Well, he said a lot of things, and so, I mean, for us, he clearly gave us some motive. And so a lot of the things that we get, we're going to try to connect via evidence we hopefully obtain. Again, he didn't say a lot beyond that. So it wasn't like laying it out completely chapter and verse for us. I mean, we're left to try to say, okay, he's leaving a trail for us. Where is it going to lead us, if anywhere? And so I don't have an absolute for you, but those are the things that he said, things that, you know, I told you about and the captain expounded on is what we're working with.
Where do you know about where the suspect was earlier in the night, earlier in the day, how he got to that corner, why he was there?
Very evasive about that. Obviously, the detective asked that question, and again, either smart as a fox or just lucky, he avoided all that, and I think in some regards there was a method to his madness, and whether he knows that or not, but it certainly came off that way, and so I don't know any of those answers, unfortunately.
You're searching the residence near the scene. Is that owned by him as well?
I don't know who actually owns the house. We just are going to search these residences that we know he has resided or laid his head in different times.
Could you talk about the instances of like these firearms being stolen and used in like crimes at all? Like, is this something common that happens?
I don't think it's common. I mean, but you know, police officers are citizens as well, and you know, sometimes things happen, and it's unfortunate. Again, you know, in this case, man, you know, you're talking about a heavy burden on your conscience, irrespective of whether or not or how culpable you may or may not have been, but it was your firearm, and that's the bottom line.
Shot the suspect, and also how the suspect was apprehended, because we see him running away, but how was he actually caught?
He was able to strike him in some part of his buttocks. Other officers responded and caught him roughly about a block away or so, and that was how that happened. Vern, well, you have a question?
Did he flag this officer down, the dog response, or it just came out of nowhere?
He just came out of nowhere and started firing on him. I mean, he just came out of nowhere, started really and literally traversing towards that patrol car. I don't even know when Hartnett first noticed him, but we know that you can see him from across the street. He had already started firing. So there was no attempt, there was no call to in that regard. He just started firing with one aim and one aim only, is to kill him.
The car was parked?
Car was moving.
Is any bystanders responsible around there seen on the car there? Did they come to the Hartnett's aid?
I don't believe there was anybody else out there at that time. I didn't see anybody in the video, and somebody behind me can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't recall seeing that.
Is it usual for the officer to be working alone?
That's how Philly PD actually operates. I mean, we have a myriad of assignments. Some of them are two-person, usually tactical, but in our department, we've historically done that. Obviously, when these things happen, we make adjustments, but you know, it's just one way we patrol. Well, we changed it last night. Whenever you have an incident like this, you know, all fears are heightened, and rightfully so, and we want to allay the concerns of the men and women who wear this uniform as much as you can with this situation. I mean, because this is a dangerous job, and I think this video, this incident, just captures the essence of that. And anybody that doesn't begin to understand what men and women across this country deal with and are faced with, and that you never know what that next encounter will be.
Will you be releasing the video itself?
I don't think so. It's a little too sensational, and in respect to him and his family, and to be honest with you, there's a sentiment of not giving this person more credence than they deserve, and I'm a little concerned about what some other people may see when they watch this video. I think these pictures capture the essence of what it is. You really are not missing anything. It's just motion. I mean, you really are seeing the incident in its entirety. The only difference is those figures are moving. That's the only difference. So you're not missing anything other than just sensationalizing it, and I don't really think that's necessary at this point.
Is there any additional surveillance today of individuals or organizations that may be associated with any kind of terrorist threat?
I don't know, and obviously, we work in conjunction with the federal authorities, and we're not necessarily the experts on that, and so you'd have to ask some of them about that, and I'm sure, as good as they are, they're going to work very hard to uncover that. If it's something to be uncovered, I have every faith in the FBI and Homeland Security, and that they're going to find out.
One final question.
Right.
Commissioner, because of the way this individual did this, because he's being circumspect in his questioning, it sounds as though you heavily doubt, or doubt to some degree, his claim that this had any sort of other nexus to terrorism other than this person saying this, but you're tracking everything down. How do we...
Well, I would qualify that by saying that I just don't know, and I'm just hesitant to jump to conclusions one way or another, and that we have to base it on what we have, and we're going to also see where the investigation leads us, and that's what's important. And so, again, we've indicated we haven't yet to complete the search warrants. We will, and hopefully in conjunction with the FBI's investigation, we will uncover something else, if it's even there. And so we just don't know a lot of those answers at this time. All right?
You're usually wearing Muslim clothing. Is that correct?
I don't know whether that was Muslim clothing or not. Some folks said it may have been, but I don't even want to jump out there on that limb. I mean, we've already established what he believes he did it, and that's probably enough.
All right, folks, we'll email this footage, these still shots, out to everyone so that you have an opportunity to see it, as well as the officer's photo and the suspect's photo. So that will be emailed very shortly. But we can go through the slides one more time for some of you here that need to get that shot.
All right, so there you see a very, very dramatic moment, an awful moment last night. A 30-year-old suspect goes up to a police vehicle. There's an officer in the car in the driver's seat, the police officer Jesse Hartnett, 33 years old. The 30-year-old suspect puts his revolver, his pistol, right inside, shoots several times, at least 11 times, 3 wounds to the left arm of the police officer. As the suspect is escaping, remarkably, that police officer gets out of the vehicle, chases, fires. Other police officers apprehend the 30-year-old suspect. We just heard the police commissioner in Philadelphia, Richard Roth, say that the suspect later told police that he was doing this in the name of Islam. The then police homicide captain, James Clark, went one step further. Listen to this.
Right away, he didn't have anything to say, but then he stated that he pledges his allegiance to Islamic State. He follows Allah, and that is the reason he was called upon to do this.
Pledges allegiance to the Islamic State and follows Allah. Islamic State, another name for ISIS or ISIL. Jason Carroll is with us. He's covering this story. Our law enforcement analyst, the former FBI assistant Tom Fuentes, is with us. Also joining us from Toronto, Mubin Sheikh. He's a former jihadist, now a counterterrorism operative. Jason, I understand New York City police acting very quickly in the aftermath of this suspected ISIS-related assault in Philadelphia on a police officer. What happened in Paris, France yesterday, an assault at a police station there, apparently ISIS-related as well. New York, the NYPD has issued a memorandum to all police officers. Give us the gist of what they're telling them.
Right. This really hits close to home to New York City and its police officers. A memo going out this morning, Wolf, an internal memo to the officers. Let me read part of it to you. It says here, members of the service are reminded that ISIL has called for its supporters and sympathizers in the United States to carry out attacks, specifically mentioning law enforcement, military, and intelligence personnel as priority targets, basically asking officers out in the streets to use extra vigilance. And, you know, when I say hitting close to home, you remember, Wolf, that back in 2014, 2 officers on patrol in Brooklyn were ambushed by a suspect and killed. That suspect later killing himself. The motive in that particular situation was different, but 2 officers still lost their lives. And based on what's happened in Philadelphia, this is again, and you heard the police commissioner, Richard Ross, mentioning this too, it's just a reminder is how dangerous the job is and how officers seem to be targets now more than ever, regardless of what the motive may be.
Stand by for a moment. Tom Fuentes is with us as well. Tom, you listened very closely to that news conference. The police commissioner, we heard what the mayor had to say, also the police homicide captain. Is there a new effort underway right now based on these incidents for ISIS sympathizers to go after law enforcement or U.S. military personnel?
Well, I think, Wolf, it's the continuing effort. They've continued for more than a year to put this message out to kill law enforcement or to kill military. The one advantage for them in killing law enforcement is that they'll come to you. You don't have to go to a stadium or a train station or a bus station. You wait for a police car to come rolling by and flag him down. The officer will lower the window or get out of the car to see what he can do to help you, and you're a sitting duck. So that's the one advantage to them, to taking out police officers, is the officers are always on patrol and they will come to you.
The 33-year-old police officer, Jesse Hartnett, according to the police commissioner, recovering now. He's alive, but he will face multiple surgeries. He's obviously got a long road ahead. We also learned, Tom, that the weapon was stolen from a police officer back in 2013. That raises more alarm bells.
Well, it does, but we don't know the circumstances yet of how that theft happened and how it got into his hands. And as the commissioner mentioned, they don't know. They don't know how many hands it passed through to end up in the shooter's hand. But it sounds like, and what it looked like in the video, is that the officer raised his left arm and sustained all those shots at close range, possibly keeping those shots from going into his head and being fatal. So raising his arm, he sacrificed his left arm to do that, but he was able to survive the attack, radio for assistance, get out of the car, and give pursuit. Also, on modern police radios, when you key that microphone as a police officer, the dispatcher sees that it's you in that radio at that location. And so even if you just get a short message for help, they'll know where to send the help to.
Yeah, but a stolen police firearm, that's always alarming. Mubin Sheikh, you have unique perspective on what's going on now here in Philadelphia, what happened in Paris yesterday. Obviously, this follows San Bernardino, the massacre in Paris earlier back in November. Is there a new intensified effort underway right now by ISIS to go out there and convince its so-called sympathizers, if you can't go fight in Iraq or in Syria, do whatever you can, kill the so-called infidels wherever you are?
Yeah, Wolf, that's been the consistent message for at least a year. And what you're going to start to see is, individuals like this come out of the woodwork, so to speak, and conduct this kind of what's called a spontaneous ambush, not to be confused with what's called an entrapment ambush, where an officer is lured to a location and then attacked. And really, truly, really by the grace of God. But also, you notice from the studies by the International Association for the Chiefs of Police, 70% survival rate if you return fire, 70% if you have body armor. And really, it comes down to about 50% survival rate in both types of ambush attacks. So there's the ambush attack part, and then there's, of course, the ISIS desire to create more of these ambush attacks.
And the message, the instructions to those who are sympathetic to ISIS to go out there and kill law enforcement, where specifically is that? Is that, I assume it's on social media, on various websites. Is that right?
Yeah, this was released by Mohammed al-Adnani himself, who's actually been reportedly injured in Iraq. where he made these statements, military, police, intelligence personnel, if you can. And also, of course, if you look at the perception of police in the U.S., it makes it easier for them to kind of get away with police as victims, as opposed to if you were going against civilians, which maybe don't carry a negative perception in the public at the current time.
Tom Fuentes, when the New York City, the NYPD, issues this memorandum to all police officers in New York City, and among other things says the New York City Police Department strongly advises all members of service to exercise a high degree of vigilance and to employ proactive safety measures at all times. They don't just do this on the basis of an abundance of caution. They're obviously clearly concerned that what has now happened in Philadelphia, what has happened in Paris could escalate, move to New York and elsewhere.
Sure, they're worried about a copycat doing just what this guy did, and so they put out the warning. And I think they do continue to do that on an abundance of caution basis to get these messages out, remind officers, because after a certain time, if nothing happens, you can become just slightly complacent, and they want to keep them alert.
I want to go to Miguel Marquez. He's in Philadelphia for us. You were inside that news conference. Miguel, a very tense moment in Philadelphia right now, a very dramatic moment. Fortunately, the police officer, the 33-year-old Jesse Hartnett, he's alive. He's facing multiple surgeries, but he is alive.
Absolutely incredible story, Wolf. That this officer was driving along, rolls his window down as he sees somebody trying to asking him for help, flagging him down, and then those pictures that the Philadelphia Police Department has now released of this suspect walking up to the car and firing one after another bullet at him. At one point, his arm, his hand is inside the police officer's car, shooting him. He was only hit 3 times in the arm. The police now saying that at least 11 shots were fired from that 9mm. 3 of them hitting the officer. The officer then gets out of his car and goes chasing the suspect down the street while keying his radio. His left arm, keep in mind, because that's the arm he was hit in, is completely immobile during all of this. He goes chasing the suspect down the street, hits him once in the buttocks, says the police commissioner here, and then they are able to apprehend him apparently on his way to one of his homes. That suspect, Edward Yearden, who is 30 years old, has survived, and he is being questioned by police in good enough shape to be questioned. At one point, the police saying that he was saying nothing and then just offered up that I follow Allah, I pledge allegiance to the Islamic State, and that's why I did what I did. That is the only thing, or some variation of that he has said to police. They are now conducting search warrants on his mother's home and on his home in another suburb close to here in Philadelphia, and they want to get to the bottom of whether or not this has any true nexus to terror, or is this just somebody who was angry, had a gun, and decided to shoot? The other thing that is interesting about this is a gun that was stolen from the home of a Philadelphia police officer a couple of years ago, and they don't know how many times it changed hands. It was reported stolen then, say police, but very, very frustrating for the police department to have this happen to this 33-year-old officer, this 5-year veteran of the police force here, a gun that was used and owned by the Philadelphia police officer being used by against one of its own police. Wolf?
A stolen police firearm. Miguel Marquez, stand by. Everyone stand by. There's other breaking news we're following